The Aztecs forced many cities to make them rich. Then those same cities helped destroy their empire. Every few weeks, tribute carriers entered Tenochtitlan from every direction. They brought cotton, cacao, jade, feathers, maize, weapons, and captives. Each bundle showed that another city still recognized Aztec power. Refusing to pay could bring invasion, punishment, or public destruction. Paying tribute bought survival, but it also fed a growing superpower. This was how fear traveled farther than any army could march. At the center stood Tenochtitlan, a city rising from Lake Texcoco. It looked impossible, but its power was built through careful calculation. The Aztec Empire did not occupy every subject city with permanent armies. It ruled through alliances, taxes, intimidation, trade, religion, and selective violence. To understand that system, follow one tribute journey toward the capital. Our story begins before the Aztecs became rulers of central Mexico. The people we call the Aztecs included several Nahua-speaking groups. The Mexica eventually became the strongest force among them. According to tradition, they migrated south, searching for a promised homeland. During the 14th century, they settled on islands in Lake Texcoco. The land was marshy, difficult, and surrounded by stronger neighbors. At first, the Mexica survived by serving more powerful city-states. They fought as mercenaries, built alliances, and studied regional politics. Over time, they turned weakness into discipline and strategic patience. Their island settlement expanded through canals, causeways, temples, and reclaimed farmland. Chinampas supported intensive agriculture in the shallow lake environment. Maize, beans, squash, flowers, and other crops fed a growing population. Waterways moved people and goods faster than crowded roads could manage. Tenochtitlan became both a fortress and a major commercial center. But the city still lived beneath the shadow of Azcapotzalco. That powerful Tepanec capital demanded tribute from the Mexica. The Mexica learned a lesson they would later use against others. A capital could control distant wealth without directly ruling every village. In 1428, Tenochtitlan joined Texcoco and Tlacopan against Azcapotzalco. Together, they formed the coalition later called the Triple Alliance. The alliance defeated its former overlord and divided future tribute. Tenochtitlan gradually became the strongest member of the partnership. This became the foundation of what historians call the Aztec Empire. It was not a single country controlled in the modern sense. It was a network of cities connected by unequal obligations. Some communities paid regular tribute and kept their own local rulers. Others supplied warriors, labor, food, or strategic cooperation. Rebellious provinces could face new campaigns and even heavier demands. Aztec armies might punish resistance, then leave local government in place. That approach allowed the empire to expand quickly across much of Mexico. Tribute officials recorded what each subject province was required to send. Surviving pictorial records show textiles, shields, feathers, food, and luxury goods. Coastal regions sent shells, rubber, tropical feathers, and exotic products. Mountain and farming regions supplied maize, beans, and crafted equipment. Tribute turned distant landscapes into resources for the capital. It also supported nobles, priests, soldiers, artisans, and public ceremonies. But imperial abundance began with ordinary people carrying the burden. Imagine a farmer growing extra maize that his own family could not keep. Imagine a weaver producing cloth for officials who might punish late payment. Local rulers collected these goods under the threat of military force. Porters then carried heavy loads toward imperial warehouses and cities. Without pack animals or wheeled transport, human labor moved most tribute. For subject communities, imperial wealth often meant personal sacrifice. For Tenochtitlan, that sacrifice created abundance visible everywhere. The market at Tlatelolco operated on an extraordinary scale. Traders sold food, pottery, textiles, tools, medicine, ornaments, and animals. Professional merchants called Pochteca traveled far beyond imperial centers. They traded valuable goods while gathering information about distant regions. Trade and conquest strengthened each other. Markets revealed where wealth existed, while armies made that wealth taxable. But goods alone could not keep tribute moving. Behind every payment stood the possibility of an army. The tribute system also rewarded the warrior elite. Aztec society connected military success with status and political advancement. Capturing enemies could bring promotion, clothing, privileges, and public honor. Warriors joined ranked societies linked with animals and martial symbols. Yet military service also protected the privileges of hereditary nobles. Conquest created opportunities, but it preserved a deeply unequal order. Aztec armies were large, organized, and supported by allied city-states. Troops carried spears, bows, slings, shields, and obsidian-edged weapons. The Macuahuitl could deliver devastating cuts with sharp stone blades. Quilted cotton armor offered protection without the weight of metal. Commanders used banners, drums, shells, and signals to coordinate units. Armies depended on porters and local supplies during long campaigns. Aztec warfare did not always begin with immediate destruction. Some cities received demands before an army advanced against them. Resistance could bring siege, executions, temple destruction, and heavier tribute. Fear became a policy because terror could make future victories cheaper. But Aztec rule survived through cooperation and opportunity, as well as fear. Some cities gained access to trade, security, and powerful allies. Local elites could become wealthier by cooperating with imperial authorities. Others deeply resented tribute collectors and repeated military demands. Public ceremonies reinforced the claim that the empire served powerful gods. Human sacrifice existed in parts of Mesoamerica before Aztec dominance. Under the Aztecs, it became closely connected with state religion. Priests offered captives during ceremonies honoring different deities. Rulers presented these rituals as both sacred duty and political authority. Sacrifice was real, visible, and frightening to many who witnessed it. It showed that imperial power reached beyond politics into sacred order. Captives mattered because Aztec warfare often valued taking prisoners alive. Flower wars are sometimes described only as battles for captives. Their purposes probably also included training, rivalry, politics, and ritual. They maintained military readiness and reinforced elite warrior culture. Religion, tribute, and warfare formed one connected system. Still, fear alone could never hold the empire together forever. Because local rulers remained in place, local loyalties remained powerful. Many provinces obeyed Tenochtitlan without feeling loyal to it. When the center appeared weak, old resentment could become open rebellion. By the early 16th century, the empire was still expanding. Emperor Moctezuma II ruled from an enormous ceremonial capital. Tenochtitlan contained temples, palaces, canals, gardens, markets, and crowded neighborhoods. Causeways connected the island city with the surrounding lakeshore. Aqueducts carried fresh water toward the urban population. The capital showed what tribute, engineering, and organized labor could create. Then unfamiliar ships appeared along the Gulf Coast in 1519. Hernán Cortés arrived with several hundred Spaniards and ambitious plans. His small force could not destroy the Aztec Empire alone. The decisive factor was the thousands of indigenous allies who joined him. Some wanted freedom from tribute and military pressure. Others pursued their own rivalries, ambitions, and political interests. The Tlaxcalans became especially important partners in the campaign. They had resisted Aztec domination and understood regional warfare. Cortés entered Tenochtitlan through diplomacy, threats, gifts, and uncertainty. Trust collapsed, violence increased, and Moctezuma became a prisoner. After fighting erupted, the Spaniards fled the city with heavy losses. The Aztecs had proven they could defeat invaders inside Tenochtitlan. But a more devastating enemy had already entered the region. Smallpox spread through populations with no previous immunity. The epidemic killed civilians, warriors, rulers, and experienced officials. It weakened resistance while the Spaniards rebuilt their alliance network. Cortés returned with indigenous armies and boats built for the lake. The attackers cut supply lines and took control of the waterways. Famine, disease, and continuous fighting destroyed entire neighborhoods. Aztec defenders resisted for months under Emperor Cuauhtémoc. In August 1521, Tenochtitlan finally fell. The empire did not collapse because its people lacked courage. Disease, siege, military technology, and local alliances combined against it. Most importantly, many subject peoples helped attack the imperial center. The tribute system had created enormous wealth, but it also created enemies. Fear had produced obedience, but not lasting unity. The same network that expanded quickly could also unravel quickly. Colonial rulers then created new systems of labor, taxation, and coercion. Some indigenous allies gained influence for a time, but many later lost autonomy. The fall of Tenochtitlan replaced one empire with another. Still, Aztec history did not disappear with the imperial government. Nahua communities preserved memories through oral traditions and written records. Their descendants continued speaking languages and maintaining cultural practices. Today, Mexico City stands above parts of the former island capital. Archaeology keeps revealing temples, offerings, canals, and everyday objects. These discoveries show an empire more complex than a story of simple cruelty. It was brilliant in engineering, trade, administration, art, and agriculture. It was also unequal, militarized, and dependent on forced tribute. Aztec power grew by turning obligation into movement. Goods moved toward Tenochtitlan, while commands moved outward. Armies punished refusal, merchants found opportunity, and ceremonies displayed authority. This system made the capital rich enough to astonish its enemies. It also ensured that conquered communities remembered every payment. When invasion came, those memories became weapons against the empire. That is the central lesson of Aztec power. An empire can control resources without controlling the loyalty of people. Tribute can build a superpower while quietly building the coalition that destroys it. The Aztecs were not defeated by one enemy alone. They were defeated by disease, invasion, and enemies their empire had helped create. Subscribe for more stories about how the world's greatest empires rose and fell. Then tell us whether tribute or fear was the true foundation of Aztec power.